Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's webinar. Our topic today is how to integrate RigER with your ERP. So, businesses today have many different systems all operated at once. We all have legacy systems that work well, and we want to continue using them. Many of us want to use a particular ERP because it suits best our operational needs. And of course, any software we implement must communicate with our ERP. And today we will show you how to share data across your ERP and RigER to improve productivity and create a single source of truth. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Dasha. I'm a marketing manager here in RigER. And our presenter today is Michael Maltsev, who is CEO and president in RigER. And today he will talk about all RigER implementations in general and ERP integration in particular. He will explain the whole integration process and what steps it includes, talk about integration scope of work preparation and what results to expect from integrations. During this webinar, we will also share some best practices. At the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A section where you can ask any questions that you may have during the presentation. So you can see the Q&A icon on your Zoom control panel. Please type all your questions there and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. And let's get started. I want to pass the microphone to Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And let's move forward. We have a very exciting topic. Let's start from the RigER integrations and talk about what we already have and how we integrate RigER with different ERP systems. So definitely integration right now is the number one topic for any software developers because software should be integrated with the different parts of the software. And there are lots of methods how we can integrate through the API or advanced integration or data import or data export. But if we talk about RigER integrations, we have standard integrations with Office applications, Excel, Outlook, Word. We have integration with Google services, mapping, and email. Another big thing is the simple integration with accounting software like QuickBooks or Sage 50, US and Canada. The billing systems like OpenInvoice, OilDex, and Cortex was done maybe 3 years and already works in our system. The recent year, we added integration with Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central and DocuSign integration. The last edition was in December, RigER 8.0. We added Avalara for sales tax compliance and Power BI as a part of Office 365 package in the business analytics tools. The recent integration was done with PandaDoc for digital signatures, and it works fine with the digital tickets and invoices. And the future integration, which we doing right now, we have several of them, but the Oracle NetSuite will coming soon. So stay tuned. Let me explain how the simple accounting integration works, because the ERP is the extensive accounting, but let's start from the very simple steps. First of all, let's consider RigER and a QuickBooks integration. And there are two versions of QuickBooks, which well known in the oil patch is QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. So the QuickBooks Desktop used the one-way integration. QuickBooks Online allowed us to integrate with the system two ways. Two ways means that we can talk from RigER to QuickBooks and from QuickBooks to RigER. So we can exchange data two ways. For desktop, we usually send everything only one way. So how it works and what kind of areas of the integration we see. As RigER, RigER is an operational management software. So, and we consider RigER as the entry point for a sales data. So that is why we move all the invoices from RigER to QuickBooks. And it's done from different modules, sales, oilfield rentals, oilfield services, and general rentals. Another integration point which some of our organizations use is purchases. So purchases could be purchase orders or purchase invoices. So those two documents can be integrated with QuickBooks as well. And another one is payroll. Payroll, when we collect all information about hours and generate pre-payroll report for QuickBooks or any other payroll software. So as I mentioned before, we have two-way integration and one-way integration with QuickBooks and Sage 50. So very simple accounting integrations. ERP, in many cases, there are more advanced categories, and there are lots of different systems existing in and used by oilfield service companies. So Oracle, NetSuite, SAP, Microsoft Business Central, Sage, Acumatica, Epicor. Depending on the needs, depending on the company structure, depending on company goals, they select and choose one of those software. However, in many cases, what we see that the ERP mostly focusing on the service, mostly focusing on the finance side of the business. Operations required a little bit different approach, and that is why RigER exists. And in many cases, there is a need to integrate RigER with ERP. And of course, there is lots of questions how to do that, when to do that, and what to integrate. And when is the best time to integrate? The answer is usually is very simple. Today is the best, or yesterday. And in many cases, the integration is a very complex process. And however, if it's done properly, there are lots of different benefits from integration with different systems. So first of all, we improve and streamline business processes. So then two systems works together. We have streamlined, very efficient and fast data flow. The integration can move business to the next level, and in some cases, it can increase efficiency of the business, and in some situation can reduce cost of running the business. Of course, a big advantage is the data integrity, data integration, data quality. When we use one source of truth and different systems start working together and understand each other. I can give you an example. So, for example, the integration between CRM, RigER, and ERP will give us one information field when we can understand and put together different sources, and the entire organization start running all the processes on the same integrated manner. And of course, this will lead to the better decisions. main reason why we start running integration is because we do not want to duplicate entry, so to eliminate double entries and eliminate errors. And of course, the employee training reduction is another benefit because the accountants do not need to learn CRM system, and salesperson do not need to understand how the invoice generated. So different so pieces of the software running simultaneously and for the different purposes. And everything increase productivity and mobility. So the companies start running smoother, and we understand what's going on in each department. How we can integrate software. There are several methods, but I'd like to show you three of them, which is most popular. And surprise, surprise, the first integration is manual. Manual integration is very popular, and it's probably the easiest and simplest way. So definitely the pros of this method is low cost and greater freedom. So this classic Excel would be a perfect example of this kind of integration, where we can put any data to the Excel and import, export, modify data, and it's very easy and convenient. And I should say it's wide spread in different organizations with different kind of spreadsheets. However, this method has lots of and major issues. So and one of those is scalability and errors. So the low scalability not allowed us to use this method for big volume of the transactions and big volume of data. And that freedom leads to lots of errors. Another method could be a middleware data integration. When we set up a third specific software which get the information from one system and provide this information to another system. So it's a specific design integration software. There is some pros and cons here as well. So better data streaming, easy data exchange. However, in many cases, there is a limited functionality because we can talk about different integration points and very detailed information, which could be just simply lag in that software. And of course, it will require support and maintenance of another piece of software for the organization. And application-based integration is quite popular as well. When we have a simplified process, easy data exchange, low resource requirements, but it required set up a specific design, which is customization of the both software in some cases, or maybe one software. And it again required a very careful focus on the data integrity. So how to select the integration method? We can consider several things here. So first of all, technical resources. So do you have technical specialists and a proper IT infrastructure, software integrators and software infrastructure? So what kind of software you have, how it works, where it's running, and who can move this project forward. Another thing is the data flow. So how the data flow is organized, the business process description, complexity, volume, frequency of data exchange. Those things should be designed first and then move to the integration process. Another big thing nowadays is security. So user authorization levels, data exchange channels, and storage. So we need to protect our clients and our own data. Um, Another thing is software capability. So scalability, API, exchange methods, data structure and format, any other limitations which sometimes we can see at the legacy systems we definitely will affect our decision about integration method. User training, process complexity, user involved, and training requirements is another thing, and of course the budget. So the customization, software development, extra licenses, process exchange, training, support, all kind of different price tags we need to consider here. So let's consider and let's talk about the integration process and how the integration process should be designed to lead to the best results for the integration. First of all, we need to understand requirements, the technical requirements, what kind of methods we will use, security, budget constraints, timelines, and what kind of resources, human resources we have for that kind of project. And it's very important to understand and assign a particular team for that project. Next step, we need to prepare the scope of work, where we need to describe the integration goals, ERP functions, define what each system will, what kind of functionality will put to each system, the integration points, triggers, the entry points, and other definitions. Then we will run the developing based on the scope of work. In some cases, it could be one system adjustment and one system customization. In many cases, this required both, and when we talk about RigER integration and ERP integration, this required both system adjustments, both system customizations. We need to define response packages, the user interfaces, data exchange, etc. Testing. Next step, we starting testing. We just need to develop a testing scenarios, understand the testing environment. Usually we run everything on a sandboxes, so ERP sandbox and RigER sandbox, and have several use cases, understanding for the each kind of scenario how what kind of results we have. And after the successful testing, we run, monitor, improve the integration. And of course, we need to consider the future development and stabilization of the system, understanding what needs to be done and when. Scope of work. Scope of work, probably the most important document for the integrations, which should define all the details about integration process. We need to understand the each software function. So what will be in RigER, what will be in ERP, the integration goals, the integration points, entry points, triggers, user interfaces, system requirements, and data exchange. So first of all, we need to define the goals of integration. And here's an example. The goal could be a solution for integrating RigER and Business Central is to organize simple information space within the business processes that pass through both systems and described in this scope of work. It means that some organizations, like lots of organizations, they have different goals, and we need to understand what is the goal for this particular organization, this particular integration. Some of the projects can require moving part of functionality from RigER to ERP. Some of the projects needs to describe what needs to be added to RigER. modified and added new documents. So we need to create the workflow and understand from the RigER standpoint what we need to add to the system, what we need to close in the system, what we need to modify. There are several ways how to do that. Say, for example, for closing, retired the document. We will keep those documents in the system. However, we will close the editing dates for those documents, and in the future, users would not be able to enter any that kind of documents in the system. Next step, we need to describe integration points. So based on the understanding what portion of functions will be running in RigER, what will be in ERP, we need to understand where we will have those connection points or integration points. Say the example could be the client's location items catalogs. The documents could be invoices, PO, peak ticket, and we need to understand the rules, the entry points and data exchange and triggers. Here is the integration points example. Say, for example, we have sales, and for sales, we have dual exchange clients, and in RigER and ERP, it means that clients in RigER and can be edited in RigER, and then they will appear in ERP, and clients in ERP can be edited and then will appear in RigER. So, however, the locations will be entered in RigER because we know location initially in RigER and then feed ERP by this information. Same thing with jobs and invoices. Again, different organizations can run business differently. For example, CRM could be integrated part of ERP, and in this case, we will feed location and job information from ERP to RigER and back and forth. So every single case need to be considered and need to be discussed in scope of work, understanding how the data will flow, what will be the entry point and what will be a secondary point. Purchases, same thing. There are different ways how we can approve POs. We have a digital PO approval in RigER. Different ERP systems have different rules for purchase orders. And in this case, if we have the information entered RigER first, then definitely this information will go to the ERP. There is a very, very complex integrations when we generate PO requests in RigER, register this in ERP, and then send back information about this PO to RigER from ERP. Again, we need to discuss that. Talking about payroll, the HR information, the employee information can be exchanged between RigER and ERP, and hours can be exchanged as well. So really depends how the structure and how we can organize that. The inventory, another big and very complex problem when we exchange information about part movement and the entire nomenclature of parts and items could be interexchanged between RigER and ERP. The corporate structure usually designed in ERP, and that is why we get this information from ERP, and it could not be edited in RigER. Quantity information we can exchange with RigER and ERP, and cost will be provided by ERP. I can give you an example of the peak ticket. When the document generated in RigER with quantity, we send this information to ERP to understand the request, the cost of the parts, and after that, the ticket exchange back to RigER, and we have this information in RigER. And depending on the requirements for this particular client, it can be running in 2 to 3 minutes. So imagine how good the prep work should be done. So the integration smoothly running in that manner. To prepare that, we need to describe like everything, even the response package, all the error codes, understanding what kind of errors we can receive in that manner, understand the message description, and how the data exchange will be designed. Another big thing, we need to describe triggers. Triggers means what will be a trigger to exchange the data. So the triggers could be a manual exchange when the user press the button and say, for example, export data, import data. It could be automatic exchange when we have generated document or creating a record in one of the system. Then the exchange will be run and move forward. Then if we have a very, very detailed description of the entry point, we need to understand what will be the primary entry and what will be a secondary entry. So understanding what is in what system. Say this is an example of DTN and CID catalogs in RigER and Business Central, and we see that DTN and CID names are primary in BC, but we do not have any attributes information in BC regarding those catalogs. That kind of detail analysis required to have a smooth integrations and understand how everything works. And user interfaces. So it's another thing which we need to describe how everything will be presented for the users. So, and after that, in the scope of work, we describe technical requirements, so system requirements, data exchange, initialization, authorizations, data transition, exchange confirmation. And very important and helpful information would be use cases. So the scenarios, how and what we need to do in one or another system, and what kind of results we should receive for the integrations. Say, for example, creating new assembly list, and all items existing in RigER will be moved to the Business Central, something like that. Okay, so the integration project results, what we have as the result of the integration project. First of all, we are creating in the system the integration points and put the integration triggers. For example, as I mentioned, the integration point manual could be a button, and based on that, we can, for example, select. This is a very simple example where we can select the invoices, and based on that selection, and after pressing clicking the export button, the exchange file will send to the Business Central. Another problem is to track the exchange and monitor the exchange results. So because the volume of the transactions is really high, and in some cases we can have hundreds of the transactions per hour, we need to understand and monitor any issues if we have for those transactions. Export, import data, and in many and understand what kind of issues and errors we can have in every single transaction. So the integration project results could be a fast data exchange, the error notification system, data validation, data exchange monitoring and control, and streamlining business processes. So the scalable system for high volume transactions. Again, the whole purpose of the creating the integration between two systems is to transfer and exchange the big volume of data. And in some cases, we can consider future development step. So what is the best practices and what we can share here regarding this integration with ERP? First of all, we need to assess risk and define security first. We need to define what will be a channel and a source of information, who will have an access to the information, because in some cases we can eliminate emails from equation. In some cases we can put the API to a particular server and understand how secure the server is. The understand business goals is very important because, again, different organizations have different focusing, different priorities, and we need to understand say, for example, for some organizations, the accuracy will be number one. For another organization, speed. And again, for some processes, it could be that way. The building business case and scenarios, very helpful and very good practice, because through that developers and business analysts will understand what kind of information or portion of information should be exchanged within two systems. Another very important thing, we need to get the right people involved. So we required technical expertise and business expertise. So working and those two categories of people working together. It's very important that technical people will understand business requirements, and business requirements understand technical limitations. Analyzing the integration requirements carefully. So all those requirements I mentioned, we need to analyze and choose the right one. And one of the important thing, we need to clean up and validate data before the integration, because it's easy to clean the data in one system instead of trying to clean the data in two systems which simultaneously integrate to each other, and you just trying to catch up everything. So first task for the integration process from my standpoint should be the data structure and data validation and cleaning. So we do not we need to eliminate all the duplicates of the data. We need to understand what is the right name of every single item, etc. One thing which I'd like to announce today, it's our very new initiative, which we call the RigER Workshops. We constantly running different events and specific webinars and different tools to educate our clients and users about how to move forward and use RigER in most efficient way. And this year, we'd like to introduce the workshop series. It will be 10 workshops, literally one a month. And it will be focusing on specific topics. Right now, you can see next 4 workshops. The first one will be about oilfield jobs in RigER. And we will explain in very detailed manner how to set up, design, create, and manage oilfield service and rental jobs. Second will be about oilfield operations and digital signatures, digital tickets, and scheduling and management of different resources in RigER. Next one will be about invoicing, from simple service invoice to complex multi-well allocation and batch drilling. The next one will be internal and external repairs and RigER. So those short workshops will differ from seminars like today, because they will be more practical, and we will show you tweaks and best practices how to use the software. So please go to rigor.us/workshops. Register for the next webinars or for the entire series. You can find out the entire schedule of next 10 workshops there. And we encourage all our users to participate in those workshops. It's a good practice for current users and maybe future users of RigER. And if you are new to our system, we always glad to show you different features, different functions in RigER. So if you'd like to see the live demo, please call us or book a demo on the web, and we'll talk for sure. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you. See you next week.